central areas, parts of the southeast, particularly East Anglia, should see a largely dry day, even some sunny spells as we head through into the afternoon. And it's fairly mild still across the southeast, highs of around 18 degrees, but temperatures struggling a little more under the cloud and rain. So a rainfall warning still issued for the first part of Saturday across Devon and Cornwall. We'll see some quite heavy outbreaks of rain through the morning, but any rain soon through the day largely fizzling away. And it should be relatively dry by the time we reach the afternoon, though there could be a fair amount of cloud still. Sunday looks the best day in terms of dry weather and sunnier outbreaks, and fairly good temperatures too, so feeling pleasant where you do catch the sunshine.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be driving away with this brand new Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It comfortably sleeps 4, comes with sky roof, integrated kitchen and bathroom, and is worth over £67,000. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that wherever this motorhome takes you, it takes you there in style. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
Grandma was taking Violet Grace across and crossing the road and got hit by a driver. What speed was he doing?
At 83 miles an hour in a 30 zone. Violet was thrown 50 metres up in the air, up the road. She, went to hospital and sadly, she had brainstem death plus other injuries. And yes, sadly passed away and donated her organs on the 26th. It was Mother's Day that year, so she donated her organs to save life.
And the monster who was driving that car got 9 years and 4 months. How did that make you feel?
Well, he did. On the face of it, he got 9 years and 4 months, but actually he got discounts for pleading guilty, even though within 3 hours he was on a flight to Amsterdam because he wanted to go and clear his head and smoke some weed.
You have 2 other small children, but what has the impact been on your life, and how might it have been different if you felt like justice had been served? I think
for us, and this is one of the reasons we're campaigning for us, I don't think any sentence would have been enough. But what we're trying to do with the campaign is what would have made us feel better if we would have felt protected and looked after as victims. We were in court, we were told we get to write what's called a victim impact statement, where it's supposed to be you as a victim, how this crime has affected your life. We were told we had to edit it. We were told we couldn't call him a child killer, which he was. He'd already pled guilty to, but wasn't sentenced, so we weren't allowed to call it him. Becky wanted to talk about all of Violet's injuries. We were told we weren't allowed to do that because it might upset him in court. It might...
hang on, might upset who? The killer?
Aidan McAteer and Dean Brennan might upset them in court because we have to keep it as a level thing and stuff. No, so already, as victims, we were feeling this is supposed to be a victim impact statement. This is supposed to be us telling you how the court and the judge, so we can sentence properly, how it's affected our lives. So already we were told not to expect that.
The People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, it's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for tomorrow's newspapers tonight. Join us over the next hour to find out the latest in the developing story that trans women legally won't get paid 17% less than men now. Silver lining. The IMF said that you 70-year-olds should be back at work, you lazy lot, and why the trans debate has finally gone down the toilet. I'm Stephen Allen, and tonight I'm joined by Cressida Wetton and Nick Dixon to take you through, what day is it? Friday's top stories. This is Headliners. But before tomorrow's news, let's get tonight's headlines with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Our top stories. President Trump says his state visit to the UK is likely to happen in September. And it's an honour to be, in his words, a friend of the King. He was speaking after bilateral meetings with Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who became the first European leader to visit the White House since Trump brought in 20% tariffs on EU goods. Well, both leaders spoke positively about a US-EU trade deal, with Trump saying he sees little problem and predicted an agreement with China will be reached soon. Now, Meloni, who's hoping to position herself as a power broker between Washington and Europe, says they hope to make the West great again. Trump blamed many of the EU's problems on immigration.
I hope that Europe is going to be great again. Europe is going through a lot of problems, and a lot of it's having to do with immigration. And I'm not a big fan of Europe and what they've done with immigration at all. And I think they got to get smart, because Europe is being very badly hurt by what they've done with immigration. Europe is very important to me. Europe is very important to the world. I want Europe to do very well. I think they have to get a lot smarter on immigration.
Trans women will be taken into custody by British Transport Police. They'll be strip searched by male officers rather than female. That follows Wednesday's Supreme Court ruling. Judges ruled yesterday the definition of a woman is based on biological sex. British Transport Police says it is introducing an interim policy while it considers the ruling. Other public bodies, though, are set to follow suit. The head of the Equalities Watchdog, Baroness Faulkner, says the NHS will have to change the way it deals with single-sex wards. Currently, NHS guidance says trans people should be accommodated according to the way they dress, their names and their pronouns. 4 people have died and 1 is seriously injured after a cable car crashed to the ground in southern Italy. The accident happened at Montefico, southeast of Naples. Local media has reported one of the cables snapped. 16 passengers were evacuated using harnesses from a cabin that had stopped in midair near the foot of the mountain. It's understood the rescue operations were hampered by fog and high wind. And British researchers have found the strongest evidence yet of alien life beyond our planet. The team from the University of Cambridge found signs of chemicals which are produced on Earth by simple organisms while studying the exoplanet K218b. They were using the James Webb Space Telescope. Now, the exoplanet is 8.6 times as massive as Earth and 2.6 times as large. The bad news, it's 124 light years away, so it would take 187,000 years to reach in our fastest spacecraft. And that is it from me for the moment. Now, it's over to headliners.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Hello and welcome to Headliners, where we give you the best of tomorrow's newspapers with the best of today's comedians. First things first, let's see what the papers have in store for us on today's show. The Telegraph says UK's biggest bank vows solidarity with trans workers. The Mirror says my husband's final journey. The story in The Guardian is ministers scramble to stop Labour rebellion on disability benefit cut. The Daily Mail, Labour turmoil on trans ruling. The Sun, no-fly throne. Good pun. And The Times goes with third space could be needed for trans people. Cressida, straight in on the Daily Mail. What are they moaning about?
Get on with it. Labour turmoil on trans ruling. It's another thing for Labour to fall out over. We've had the ruling from the Supreme Court that trans women are not always treated as women.
Because no one's mentioned that so far. So
well,
it's good to hear.
If you've seen any previous episodes of Headliners. Not surprisingly, there are some people in the Labour Party who absolutely don't agree with this at all. And, of course, Keir Starmer's kind of got egg on his face now. Rosie Duffield is the MP who he shamed, I suppose, really. A lot of people have been shamed over the past few years over this. Some people are saying that he owes her an apology for saying that she was wrong. She's one of many people who... on this channel, we're broadly thrilled about this, aren't we? Broadly. I saw your artwork at the beginning there, Steve. Fantastic.
Well, I try.
You do, you certainly do. But, yeah, it's over, but it's not over.
Yeah, well, Karen Smith got in a bit of trouble on Times Radio because she couldn't answer which changing room a trans person should use. She said women should use the female one, so we've nailed that finally. That's good.
Yeah.
But then they said, which one should the trans person use? She said, she started talking about dignity and things like this, naming Deacon Blue songs, essentially. It was that kind of thing. And, of course, they're all struggling because they're politicians. Look, Starmer flip-flopped on this. Even Rishi Sunak, as if he's, like, super based. Even Rishi Sunak struggled on this. And Ed Davey thought women had penises and now spends most of his time on a water slide or riding a giant fake swan as a sort of punishment. It's an ancient punishment. So, of course, they're still politicians. Just because the rulings come through, it doesn't mean... She can't alienate the mad part of the Labour supporter base, which is about 80% of it.
Yeah. The mad, in your words, the mad part of the Labour base, have they explained why they think this is so bad? Because I saw loads of comments both yesterday and today about how this is threatening and unsafe and all these words. All yesterday was defining what the word woman means in the Equality Act. Not what the word woman means in general. Dictionaries aren't being updated. There's no change to that. It's just when that Act uses the word woman, they've clarified it means in a sex way. So I'd love to see someone go, oh, and that's why I feel I'm threatened and I won't exist. I know, I'm
you're trying to apply logic to leftist activists.
That's what I always do, isn't it? Yeah, and this is why I'm not popular. But I like logic, and it's my friend. No, OK, I thought we could get on this, because it's...
I can't top the Deacon Blue thing. I just riffed it, and, you know...
I was trying to
certain percentage of people at home are loving that.
Yeah. There's got to be something about twist and shout, which is something that you could do if you're trying to get changed in the wrong place. I'm not sure what you'd twist. You'd probably shout afterwards.
Yeah, and that's the only two songs anyone knows, so you've run out...
Yep.
You've run out of song references.
Cressida, any Deacon Blue songs that you know?
No. Come back after the break and I'll do what I should have did.
You did?
Oh, nice.
Oh,
nice.
That was beautiful.
That was good, yeah. Real Gone Kid. Yeah. Great.
The Telegraph, Nick, have they got any 80s pop hits to mention?
No, but it's comically oversized, which is kind of an 80s vibe. It's basically taking up all of me on the screen. We'll have complaints, because most people tune in just to look at me.
Yeah.
They watch on mute. So it's UK's biggest bank... That wasn't even a compliment to me. UK's biggest bank vows solidarity with trans workers. You know how banks are, like, sort of down with the kids these days. It's so ridiculous. This is Lloyds Bank, and they're just going to continue to support those affected by the Supreme Court ruling. So they pledge solidarity with transgender staff. And it's really fascinating because we have this sort of Russian doll system of leftism now. So you've got the MPs, you're thinking, oh, Labour government, quite left-wing. Then you've got the judiciary, way to the left of Labour. Then you've got banks, further left than that. Who'd have thought the banks would be like left-wing activists? I find this so crazy because there's been this debate for a while about wokeness. Is it genuine? Or is it a cynical ploy taken on by companies and institutions, right? And in the US, it seemed like the latter, because as soon as Trump got in, everyone ditched it. Mark Zuckerberg even started saying, oh, Trump's cool, I'm into MMA now. And Jeff Bezos was like, oh, we're not endorsing Kamala Harris and all these things. And then all these companies were like, we've ditched our DEI, and it just was gone overnight, right? Yeah. But Lloyds seem like true believers, so it makes me wonder, have we actually genuinely drunk the Kool-Aid in this country? And are we going to carry on this woke nonsense, even after judgy-type people are saying, stop it?
Yeah, but there's still going to be this period of catch-up, isn't there? For a while, we've had activists in organisations telling people things that aren't true, and now, you know, a bit of publicity, maybe we're going to get further towards people following the ruling. But I'm not surprised that there's still a few stragglers.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but it was almost overnight in the US with some of these companies that they said, we're ditching all that soz. So, yeah, maybe it's going to last a bit longer here.
I'm still going to say the same thing that wasn't popular last time, but why don't you list the way in which you've been impacted by it? They're going to support people who've been impacted by it. Again, impacted by the definition of one word in one legal act.
Well, I find it, obviously, evidently, impossible to argue with you. I think you're right.
Never normally happens. That's why it feels weird.
Well...
It's because you've become so right-wing the more you've hung around us,
That's the thing. I don't even think what I'm saying is right-wing.
It's far right.
I try and blend it sometimes.
You're a far-right thug, I think.
If a trans person were discriminated against in sort of generic... you know, if they were badly treated, of course, that would be not on.
And also covered by the same act that now they don't like, includes a whole section on how you can't be discriminated against for being trans.
Well, I mean, Lloyds could just build another toilet, but they're trying to avoid that. I mean, because they're going to be these unisex toilets. We'll talk about that later. Do you want to do Trump to hold talks with the King at Windsor?
Yes, please. We can talk about the fact that he called him Charles.
That's a no-no, isn't it? Yeah. But, yeah, maybe he doesn't see him as the King or something. Maybe, you know, because the Queen is still the true leader in his heart. I don't know, but he had a long. He's coming in September apparently, so get your placards out. He's going to visit Windsor Castle, and he had a phone call with Keir Starmer. I really want to see how one of those phone calls goes. I imagine it's just Trump riffing on a number of subjects, like eggs was today's one. If you saw the Maloney thing, and they hit me with eggs. It's like, and they didn't even mean literally, but I imagine he riffs for about 27 minutes, and Starmer goes, "Yeah, good point."
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Like when I used to be on the phone with my mum and you'd just kind of like leave it on speakerphone and go and do stuff. So you're still there to go, yeah, and then carry on.
I'm the opposite. My mum gets bored of my rambling, but that's a unique situation.
Did she not watch?
She does watch. But it was Man United tonight. We won 5-4 and I'm here. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
It's very gracious.
You looking forward to a Trump visit?
Yeah, assuming he's allowed to come and there's no fuss and everybody welcomes him, I think it would be great.
Oh, but I mean, free speech, if you want to inflate some massive thing, it's up to you. Do you reckon? Well, I should have asked that as a question rather than a sentence.
That is correct.
Right, Cressida, let's get inside the newspapers. The Telegraph, the Supreme Court ruling is really separating the men from the boys.
Stonewall's hour of reckoning has finally arrived. So, again, we may have mentioned this previously. So, off the back of the Supreme Court's ruling, Stonewall is now, it says here, on shaky ground. I mean, this has been a long time coming. So, Stonewall has existed for 36 years. It started out as the gay charity that I guess were campaigning for gay rights. But it's just good old-fashioned gay rights, and they did really well. And then more recently, some of the advice has been getting more and more controversial. In 2022, they were saying that nurseries needed to do more to help 2-year-olds discover their trans identity if they had one. And they were telling parents, using the phrase parents who give birth rather than mothers, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if they've got much of a future now.
I mean, my 3-year-old has not expressed any sort of trans identity, which I see as a failing of the nursery. So I guess I should write a letter of complaint.
Ideally, yeah. I mean, Stonewall... I mean, you've got to remember, Stonewall, this is an organisation that's too left-wing for people like Simon Franchot. I like Simon, nice guy, incredibly left-wing. I mean, they were too left-wing for the lefties, and they went completely mental. Because you've got this guy he's not named, but he's an HR veteran, which is kind of like a Vietnam veteran, but you've survived many people complaining about other people. And he said, you know, previously they were giving good, strong quality guidance on how you become more inclusive as an employer. I reject the whole premise. When you talk about inclusivity, you're in the realm of DEI, then you're in the realm of communism and anti-white recruitment policies. So I'm against Stonewall from the outset, but clearly they went completely off the reservation. I mean, they talk about, which you're not allowed to say anymore, Stonewall would ban that phrase. I mean, they brought in this ranking thing, didn't they? Where it's like, oh, the more diverse you are, the more higher you get in our rankings, which we judge. And by the way, it costs money, which you pay to us. Like, oh, great system there. So yeah, completely mad. But it's good. What's basically happened is, because these sort of this activism has been so successful, they're now saying just follow the law. They've essentially won. So you don't need a separate organisation that's further out there than the law. You just follow the law. That'd be a nice idea, when you just follow the law.
Also, earlier on, you did say you were against Stonewall from the outset. What, during the gay rights bit?
No, well...
No, I'm just trying to trap you to make
it's a great point. I mean, yeah, why not? Yeah, I don't know, who cares? You're trying to trap me. Do you know, I mean, I've gone...
We need a clip from tonight, so why not?
Yeah, I've worked with too many gay people, Steve. I've gone right off them. No, I mean, this inclusivity. The premise of inclusivity is what I mean when I said the outset. I don't really know what Stonewall got up to.
Well, they did good things early doors, I think, and then it got to a point where they were causing free speech problems. And instead of just campaigning for rights for gay people, they were saying, you've got to say exactly this or you're in trouble, and here's our ranked board of everyone that's joined in, and if you're not at the top of it, you could do better. And it's just very, very cynical.
Yeah. Right, Cressida, we've got the Daily Mail, and the Tories are successfully copying the Trump administration by doing a whoopsie with a WhatsApp group.
Fears of Tory coup after Robert Jenrick set up WhatsApp group in plea for marathon donations. This might be just a small mistake that Robert Jenrick's made. He's created a WhatsApp group, and then he's added 600 people, and some people have said he's trying to start a coup. He's created this WhatsApp group to get rid of Badenoch, but she was one of the people that was added, so that seems unlikely.
Yep.
It looks like he's just found that WhatsApp is actually quite tricky to use. He's going to run a marathon, and he's looking for donations. That's what he really set it up for.
Which is more annoying than a coup, isn't it? When someone's running a marathon and wants money, why couldn't you just be doing the coup? But yeah, I really think it's not a coup, because I think one thing you'd be careful, if you were going to do a coup, you wouldn't add Kemi. I think they could handle that part. But you never know, because, you know, we had the Signal thing in America, just adding a journalist to your war plans and your dissing of Europe. You know, that was shocking. So if that can happen. But I don't think it was a coup. I think it was genuinely about the marathon. And a source close to Gemix said the idea it was a coup is bananas. But that itself, Steve, is a code word because bananas split is the coup, you see.
Right. I mean, I don't see any of that, but I like it.
You know, heard the phrase, remember the banana
I'm aware
split?
that bananas split.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that then that it's a well-known way of taking over a political party.
I prefer that because that shows a level of organisation I don't think the Tories have.
Yeah.
If they had code words and coups, it'd be brilliant.
You're right. This is just someone being really annoying about running a marathon, which all marathon runners are. That thoroughly checks out. I'm sure he'll be mentioning that a lot in everyone he speaks to about
it is for charity. So I'm getting you back now, Steve. You don't like charity? Interesting. Interesting. No, you hate charity and gay people.
I've dealt with enough people who need charity that I'm as annoyed as you are at gay people.
Nice.
All right, that's it for part one. After the break, we'll be giving The Guardian the once-over. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
Now, what is it I'm not allowed to do during this?
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom. Weekday mornings from 9:30.
Shouldn't Easter remain part of the curriculum, part of the studies, frankly, part of the fun on primary schools in this country?
Well, it should. First of all, this is Christian phobia. But the reasons why it should remain is because it's a lovely thing to have. Easter bonnets are fun. The Easter story reminds people, and especially tells children, that there's a point in life. They're loved. There's life after death. That's worth hearing about. The second thing is it's been got rid of in the interest of diversity. Well, that's nonsense. It's actually, they're excluding Christianity. So that's just incompetent by the head teacher, whose name is Stephanie Amanda. But the third reason, I think, was expressed by Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who's been worrying about European civilization surviving. And she says, I think in a very useful analogy, that Christianity is the operating system that has defined our culture and upon which all the values we like is based. And if you destroy the operating system, the apps won't work. And I thought that was a very helpful metaphor.
Now, let's talk to you, Dr. Sheikh Ramsey. What's your take on this? Are you surprised, maybe disappointed, that Easter's been cancelled in this school?
A head teacher very respectfully is right to the people, right to all the parents, and it says, of course, we are cancelling because of the diversity and of course inclusivity. 50% of the children, maybe they are not of Christianity, or maybe more. Therefore, the head teacher wants to keep all together. If the 50% does not come and 50% stays away and 50% doing, for example, Easter bunny or so, Easter parade, it is not inclusivity for all.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. If you'd like to get involved, you can leave your comments on gbnews.com/your say. Captain Smithers says, Steve and Nick on the show tonight, and so far no references to Star Trek or WWE. Lads, I'm disappointed. Honestly, I get criticism for talking about it, I get criticism for not talking about it. You can't win. It's like the Kobayashi Maru.
And your logical ways are sort of Spock-esque anyway, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Who needs human emotion? I mean, I don't have any, so that's why.
And I'll be ripping off my shirt like Hulk Hogan later.
That's one thing to look forward to. Cressida, any comments on things that you like?
Learning that you two like wrestling.
Not together.
No, that was a one-off incident, and it was misconstrued.
Better move on. Right, a couple more front pages. And Cressida, we start with The Guardian in this bit. What have they got?
Ministers scramble to stop Labour rebellion on disability benefit cuts. So this is another thing for Labour to fall out about. Ministers are scrambling to avoid a damaging rebellion this summer. So they think that, obviously, lots of Labour supporters aren't going to like the cuts, so they're trying to stop this problem. Possible solutions include allowing backbenchers to abstain, so just don't turn up. That's one way of doing it. And another idea is that they can mitigate the cuts by spending more, which is pretty clever, on measures to tackle child poverty, so extra benefit payments for poorer parents or children under 5. So the solution to the cuts is to spend more, which is...
I can see it solves it in one way, doesn't it? If your beef is about the cuts, spending it means you're not cutting.
Yeah, what troubles me about this is these so-called cuts. I mean, they are cuts, but they're such a small amount from what I've heard. You know, it's going to, like, save $5 billion a year versus the $100 billion a year that is going to be spent by 2030. So just they're dropping the ocean anyway, and yet we can't get them done. This is what disturbs me about the whole country. We need to do such radical change, but the slightest thing we try and do, could be environment, could be any other topic, you can't do anything. But I understand if you're a Labour-type person, old Labour, you don't get into politics to cut people's disability benefits. I do understand that. You know, and winter fuel payment, I totally have sympathy for that. But the tragedy is this is not going to really fix any of our problems either.
Although there is the knock-on effect of this, the idea that if these cuts get people back into work, there's that benefit. More people working means more activity in the economy. We would benefit from that.
Yeah, if they really do that, I mean, I think you just need a massive overhaul of the benefit system, and it wouldn't. This is not going to do anything. But if this really got people back into work, then yes.
Yeah. All right. So fair enough. It's a big if, but all right. We can crack on with Nick to the Eye. What have they got? This is fun.
Yeah, they have UK under huge pressure to cut food standards to win trade deal with America. So this is the mythical trade deal that has always been dangled over us. No one's ever seen it, but we keep believing in it. And we have to, of course, do whatever America wants until we get it. And one thing is the chlorinated chicken, which we constantly hear about. And this whole chlorinated thing, we wash it at a different time to America. We wash it earlier. They do like a wash at the end to make sure it hasn't got salmonella. That's as I understand it. Chicken experts can tweet me, don't. But there's a lot of talk about chlorinated chicken all the time. But yes, it's a larger discussion of standards and whether we have to adhere to their standards. Because Robert Lighthizer, who's a big economic advisor to Trump, has been in the past, he talks about trade barriers. So all this stuff about tariffs, he says, well, tariffs are just one trade barrier. You've also got things like chlorinated chicken, which stops free trade because it's a trade barrier. Yeah. So there's pressure for America to get in line with their idea of trade. You know, they're going to want to do the tariffs, but they also want us to drop things like this, which are seen as trade barriers by them.
But in that example, the trade barrier is standards, and you don't want to totally drop all standards, or it's like lead paint again.
Yeah, well, clearly. But his point is, you don't have free trade anyway, because you have environmental standards, you have chlorinated chicken standards. So when we're talking about tariffs versus free trade, we're never talking about free trade, we're talking about degrees. So he talks about trade balance. And again, that might not be a thing that really exists either, but that's the idea. So anyway, so it always comes back down to chicken, and the US farmers also want to sell beef and pork and all this. And yeah, it's usually how much do we capitulate to get a trade deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Any
good.
sympathy for the farmers, the UK farmers here? They've had a great time so far.
Always sympathy for the farmers. But, I mean, I agree. I think it's symbolic, isn't it? It's not that this is a hill to die on, you know. It's a bit like when anybody gets the Harold Bishop chin wobble on about anything. I can't believe it. And you think, oh, you're just looking at this very specific example.
Yeah.
There's plenty of things we do, of course, you know, that aren't ideal.
But people do that chin wobble about farmers, you know, in places like this because of the Labour rules that have been brought in. And it will be impacting our farmers because it will be easier to make cheaper chicken and import it. Like there was a thing in the Telegraph recently, someone ate some chlorinated chicken, made a big deal about it. The story is not about whether you can taste the difference, whether it doesn't impact humans. We've got chlorine in us all the time. It's in salt. But the point is, if you're washing them in chlorine later, you can have worse animal standards beforehand, which means you can make cheaper chicken in comparison to our farmers.
Yeah, which might be a hill for me to die on, actually.
You see?
Yeah.
Do you know what I've just realised as well? This show, Harold Bishop, Hulk Hogan, Deacon Blue, it's ideal for one viewer who's exactly our age.
Yeah.
Any Zoomers or Boomers are just absolutely lost right now.
Yeah, we're great for a small audience and we're all sat right here, which means technically we're not watching. Nick, the Telegraph and Brummie bin activists are teaming up with pro-Palestinian activists because they both get mentioned in the headline that say they've been left devastated by the latest strikes.
Yeah, so it's bin strike activists plot new pro-Palestine party. So Unite, the union, have looked at the bin crisis in Birmingham and said, you know what we need? More Palestine in this. I don't know, I don't see the link, but it's like, obviously the council is failing.
It's because Birmingham wishes it could have a bin service as good as the Palestinian one. I think that's the link.
Yes, that is the new standard. Yeah, so it's. I mean, this counselling is very complicated if you want to get into it. The reason Birmingham Council has no money largely is because of absurd contracts in the past. It cost them $1.1 million to get a website made for the library. There was a Supreme Court case based on this equal pay thing where a load of cleaners and other people said, we need the same pay as bin people, and it costs $1.1 billion over 10 years, I think. Yeah. So they have no money. So then they've got no money, so they can't fix the bins. But Unite is sort of capitalising on this and saying, oh, look at the mess they're in. And then generally, they're obviously not very aligned with Starmer's Labour. So they're thinking what we need is more union action. But of course, union action got them in Birmingham into this problem because there were other unions that were behind those cases, right? So it's like we need less union stuff, not more.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a sense of, like, that we think we all agree, or are they just thinking, yeah, if we team with them, team with that group as well, we could really do some political damage? That's what it is, isn't it?
It's just threatening, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we care about political donors, for exactly this reason, because you might end up with no bins emptied in Birmingham.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Cressida, The Telegraph. From the newspaper that brought you the story of the person who couldn't be deported because of chicken nuggets, and the one about a drug dealer, and the one about not speaking the language, comes an even better one.
Jihadist wants to be deported, but Home Office still can't get rid of him. What? So this is Ifran Khalid from Pakistan.
It's another new country to worry about. They're at war. Palestine is at war with Pakistan and Israel.
He planned a bombing attack in Birmingham, nothing to do with the bins, alongside Al-Qaeda. Really serious crime this would have been. He didn't get away with it. It was intercepted, and he's now been jailed for 18 years. That was in 2013. So I'm not surprised that he would like to go to Pakistan. He's given up his British citizenship. But, OK, this might be about his human rights, but also the parole board are saying, well, we can't let this guy out. I mean, he's been on a course, so there's a report saying that he's made some progress in custody because he's been on an accredited programme to address his extremist offending, but I don't feel very confident about that.
Like a speed awareness thing, yeah?
Exactly.
You know what we should do? We should make up a country called something like Palestine and just send everyone there. And it's like you just get there and you're just sort of on some remote desert patch or something. I don't know. We make up a country and just send everyone there. Maybe just... I'm not going to say drop them in the sea because that would be bad, but something like that. I'm just thinking it through on air on national TV. But I'm just riffing. No, this was horrific. I mean, they wanted to turn Birmingham into a little war zone. I mean, even more than it already is. I mean, that's absolutely... It is disgusting and insane. And you just go, is this the final boss of progressive liberalism? Like, you can't self-deport. Like, we can't deport anyone. We've established this with the chicken nugget example and so on. But now a guy wants to leave, and we're like, no, you must stay.
I think I feel pretty good about him being held in custody in the UK. I don't want him released to go back and do more training.
Well, not to do more training, but wouldn't you like him out of the country? A long, long way.
As long as he couldn't come back in, and we don't have a great track record with that.
Well, you're right. That'll be the new thing, bringing people in. We'll be having people just recruiting from all around the world.
Yeah, so we know where they are. It's like if there's a spider in your house, you want to know where it is. So it's almost like that.
And talk about radicalisation, by the way. I looked at the comments. The Telegraph comments have been radicalised by all this. They're just like normal, nice people in Telegraph. And the stuff they're typing under this it's like a 4chan thing. It's
How many of them were from you? What are your usernames?
I'm just reading it. I read the Telegraph comments to see the mood, and the mood is bad.
Well, loads more to come. After the break, we'll be giving the Times the once-over. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day.
bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
because
the failure is
you're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back to Headliners. You can get your say by going to gbnews.com/your say, where Lucia says, all our pre-packed salad leaves are chlorinated. Do I look like a man who eats salad? You've barking up the wrong tree with that one. More front pages then. Cressida, The Times, what have they got?
So the Times are leading with third spaces could be needed for trans people. Proposal after equalities watchdog inundated with calls about definition of a woman ruling. Related to what we talked about earlier, we might have to have even more toilets going forward, which it sounds like a sensible... Then we can have our dignity that Karen Smith was talking about for everyone.
The problem is, and of course the ruling is good, it's one of the few good things that's ever happened in the last few decades, but no one likes unisex toilets. Everyone hates them. You know, especially women complain about them so much.
Well, absolutely, but this is a third space.
Right. Now, if it's one of those unisex ones that's like an individual cubicle, like a disabled one far away or something, but what if a unisex is just sort of like with the other ones? Doesn't it depend on... What does it mean? They don't know what it means.
I think those won't be... Oh, here we go, we've hit the difficulties already. You know what this is going to do? It gives the activists something new to focus on, because they can now... They've got all this capacity for activism, and they can go out and campaign for third spaces.
Yeah, Cressida said hit the difficulties, Steve, not what you thought.
Oh, I thought you went straight in with Hitler. Like, wow, didn't even wait for the comment section to go through a few steps before
Absolutely
Godwin's thing.
not.
Yeah, I mean, the risk is actually, with the same number of toilets that they then split down, put another door in. We won't get more toilets out of this, because that would be fantastic.
Well, it might in new builds, but not... There's going to be a lot of pubs with very, very skinny toilets. And then that will cause problems in the body positivity movement. I mean, there is a lot of trouble to be had.
And if anything, the people who are slightly larger, if anything, they need to be on the toilet more. I'm not an expert in weight loss, but that seems like, you know, less in, more out.
Yeah, I predict the world will be slightly worse after this, because that's what all left-wing activism does. There's a lot of confusion. Everyone's left confused and slightly worse off.
Yeah. But also the toilet thing, unless we start hiring toilet bouncers...
Well, they exist already.
Well, the one
they
who
have
tries
lollipops.
the splash thing, yeah. But are they really... I've never been thrown out of one, so, you know, no one's really policing it either. It's
Imagine what you have to do to get thrown out of a toilet by a toilet bouncer. It must be horrific.
Yeah.
Apart from just the obvious thing.
No, but I think you're wrong. I think, given the ruling, more people will be emboldened, as people like to say, to speak up if they see somebody who they perceive to be...
Oh, so you think this is a citizens thing? Like citizens arrest for being in the wrong...
Certainly
wrong
more
trap.
than it was at the beginning of the week.
Yeah, interesting. Well, Nick, The Sun, look at that balancing. Oh.
Well, you jinxed it, but yes.
What's on... hopefully you've got the right page in front of you. The Sun, what do they do?
Yeah, The Sun has no-fly throne which, as you said, is a brilliant poem. And this is a drone ban over King Charles's home because of Zelensky's visit. I mean, wouldn't you want a drone ban anyway over King Charles? This is what I'm saying. Were there just tons of drones? Does Charles just sort of look at another drone and they just sort of, and they're going by, you don't know what they are. Are they taking photos for China? Do they have weapons? But now, for the one day, we better ease off the number of drones flying over our monarch's home. That's mental.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have happened in the old Prince Philip days, would it? Like, poof, there's one.
Yeah.
He'd be shooting them down left, right and centre. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, we haven't been allowed to have drones over prisons for a long time, have we?
True. It makes a lot of sense. Look, the only people who need drones are either, if you're not at war, you're a divorced dad who needs something to do on the weekends. And that's it. I'm not...
Well, that is King Charles.
Good point. Enjoy the comment section on that one. Nick, the Times and the IMF says that 70 is the new 50, but they didn't agree with that on my speed awareness course.
Yeah, it's boomers can keep working because 70 is the new 50, IMF declares, the International Monetary Fund, and they found that someone aged 17 in 2022 had the same cognitive function as the average 53-year-old in 2000. So we've somehow improved. And they're calling it the rise of the silver economy. And isn't it nice that it coincides with an ageing population and a productivity crisis? And somehow we found a study that justifies making 70-year-olds work. I mean, it does. I hate to be cynical, but it feels to me like they've gone, can you give us a study that says we get to send all these people back to work because we've got no money and we've got an old population? So that's quite useful. Though, to give another perspective, I heard a stat that after the Second World War, we had 2% of people we said can't work because they just physically can't work. Now it's 11%. So we do have this society where everyone can't work. But actually, what's wrong with boomers getting back to work? Get back to work, boomers. And I don't mean renting out one of your 7 houses. And I'm joking, because I've just realised I've insulted our core audience. Oops. Just kidding, guys. We love you, really.
Do you think that's what's going on here? Are you as cynical?
I would like to see the questions on the test. I would like to see that. Well,
Camera,
I agree.
TV,
How come
woman.
we've just shaved off 20 years of cognitive ability?
You see, I think it's the other way around. I think this is a correlation-causation thing, horse before the cart, Jobby. More people are having to work, and it's retiring that does you in. If you're forced into work, not great, but your brain has to be sharper because you are still working, being active. All of these things are good for you. Getting out of the house is good for you. And so I kind of believe that we are sharper at that age group.
It's a nice positive spin.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to offend our slightly ageing target demographic, Nick. It's your first day here. Don't upset the boomers.
I know.
They
So
rule.
what
They
really
know I'm
matters
joking.
is if we went along and criticised this, Lewis wouldn't be able to work for us anymore, and nobody wants that.
Do you know what? He's the exception that disproves the rule. Fair enough. Cressida, The Guardian. The French are accepting refugees from the US. They're trying to get that Statue of Liberty back, aren't they?
Nearly 300 apply as French university offers US academics scientific asylum. So this is a university in France who've generated interest amid a US crackdown. Obviously, we know about the cuts, the lack of funding in America, and the calling for scientific refugee status. Obviously, they should be called irregular scientists. We all know that.
Good point.
So they've had loads of applications, nearly 300. There's only 20 places. This feels a bit like another sort of tokenistic... they're making a point, aren't they? You can't possibly do your research in America anymore. We'll have you. We'll arrange for you to come and be safe with us.
Yeah.
And, of course, they've had tons and tons of applications. And it says, bear in mind, this is The Guardian, most of the applications were sent using encrypted messaging. I think they're sort of trying to imply that they don't want Trump to read the details of the forms or something like that. And when people come, they come with worrying stories, sometimes chilling accounts. Everybody lies on their CV. I don't think it's necessarily as bad as they're making out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's some Guardian bizarro world. I mean, Trump was cracking down on DEI rubbish. If you're doing actual science, Trump would want that. Yeah. America would want that. So what's the problem if you're doing actual science? Science is supposed to be free from ideology.
You know, I've got a bias in this, and reading this, I was thinking, but hang on, why are the sciences being impacted by it? Science is the pursuit of truth, of the method of getting information rather than anything else. And it says humanities and life science. I'm like, oh, I see what's happening. Do you mean not sciences? That's what you mean there. Keep it real. Nick, the Telegraph and the King has been the keeper of the faiths, not the keeper of the faith, as it was originally written by Bon Jovi.
Yes, indeed. Its King praises Judaism and Islam in Easter message. And obviously this has been talked about a lot today, but it is very bizarre. So he talked about Jesus, which was good, but he said the love he showed when he walked the earth reflected the Jewish ethic of caring for the stranger and those in need, a deep human instinct echoed in Islam and other religious traditions. And so people are going, echoed in what? Because they thought it was Easter, and it was the one day you might talk about Christianity, but not necessarily loads of other religions. And so I'm trying to understand the link here. I suppose Jesus being Jewish at least there's some context there. Yeah. The Islam part seems somewhat shoehorned in, and you just sort of go, why? Both of those. What's the link apart from the Abrahamic religions? I didn't really get why they were all born in. Of course, I get it. Really, it's a political message, and he's trying to sort of say, why don't you two just get on with each other? You know, despite this ancient desert conflict that we're never solving, King thinks he's just going to solve it. So I thought it was bizarre. It was completely inappropriate, and I hate to criticise our king because Lewis does it. And it's always very tasteless when a foreigner does it. Yeah. But I think I think this is a time when you have to say this was very strange.
Shintoism gets away with it again. Didn't get.
Well, yeah, Hindus are 1.7% of the population. Jewish people 0.5. So you could say Islam about 6.5. So you go, why particularly mention those people as well? There's no Scientology reference. Unless that's in the extended version. I haven't read it all, but it's just we have to do this multi-faith thing now. We can't ever have a day for Christianity, and he's the head of the Church of England nominally.
Yeah, well, for now he is. I mean, you think if he had done any sort of market research on how to keep his brand going longer term, he might be plugging Christianity a bit more.
Because of the Zoomers going back to church.
Well, because if that's what he's the head of, he needs it to carry on, doesn't he?
That's true.
He might be doing himself out of a job if he doesn't promote it.
Fair enough, yeah. Cressida, Telegraph, and did Trump make a good move by hiring Kristi Noem, or did he really shoot the pooch on this one?
Nice.
Donald Trump's Ice Barbie is ruffling feathers. Kristi Noem, she is a very attractive lady. She's very glamorous.
I believe we can bring up a picture as well. Not that I spent all afternoon Googling these things, but you can see that's not her. That's very much me. Sorry about that. There is a difference.
She's an action Barbie woman. She's doing all these things. And Megyn Kelly, who I like very much, has called her out and said, look, you're doing a great job, but just stop with the hair extensions and the makeup. And people are getting offended because she's supposed to be part of ICE. Well, she's in charge of ICE now. But she's sort of turning up to these photo shoots, holding guns and doing all kinds of things that the people that really know what to do with guns wouldn't be pointing them at somebody and having false eyelashes. And it's just winding... I think you look quite wound up, Nick, is it?
Well, I'm just looking at that picture thinking that's not the best choice to show how glamorous she is. She looks like she's on a small boat trying to get into our country. That looks like it was taken from Nigel Farage's binoculars. I don't...
Well, it was taken
that's a good one.
Her Twitter, actually. Well, the point is she's doing robust things, but she's dressing like she's going to...
She's a boss.
And she's also not doing robust things. She's turning up to pose doing robust things.
Yeah, there's always been this trend, though, hasn't there, on the right in America? It's a woman with a gun. Hey, look at my MAGA... It's MAGA Day, and it's Thanksgiving, and I've got my guns out for some reason, and I'm shooting stuff in a desert, and buy this product. That's the thing that's been going on, a sort of slightly cringe thing. I've researched it heavily, and that's been going on a lot.
Yeah.
So it's a non-story, sorry.
And they make the point about the fact that they're not in a campaigning phase right now, because you could kind of understand it. You've got to win social media if you want to win elections, but right now would be the time to not be being an influencer at your work.
If they get people deported, I don't mind how they look. I'm just a fan of deportations in any country. Just a supporter of them.
And if they're a bit easy on the eye at the same time.
Hey.
Right, final few front pages on the way in a second. Some more great stories. This is Headliners, only on GB News.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're heading to southern Europe for some holiday sun, well, there is still some changeable weather around. There's a front pushing its way in across parts of Portugal and into western Spain, also affecting Madeira and later the Canary Islands. Then there's also going to be a fair bit of showery rain affecting Italy and into parts of Greece as well. But actually, as we go through the weekend across western areas, I'm expecting a bit more dry and at times sunny weather in which it should feel pleasantly warm.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. As we head towards the bank holiday, there is going to be some rain at times, particularly across western areas, with a rainfall warning issued for Friday night into Saturday. But actually, Easter Sunday looks largely dry and bright, and it should be fairly clear this evening. That's before low pressure moves its way in from the west, eventually dragging in some cloud and rain, particularly across parts of Devon and Cornwall, parts of Wales and Northern Ireland by the time we reach the morning. But elsewhere, there'll be a mix of cloud and clearer skies, and where we see the clear skies stick around, temperatures soon dipping away, may even see some rural frost, some mist and fog by the time we reach the morning. So feeling chillier here, but where we see the cloud outbreaks of rain, it's going to be a slightly milder night to come. Now, as we head into Good Friday, it's going to be quite a wet start across Northern Ireland, parts of Wales, Devon and Cornwall. Some quite heavy outbreaks of rain at times, particularly across high ground. So quite a wet start, Devon, Cornwall, parts of Wales, also Northern Ireland. It could be fairly blustery at times too under the cloud and rain. But elsewhere across northern parts of England, parts of Scotland, largely dry. Just a few showers perhaps skirting the far Northern Isles. Shetland and Orkney, for example, could see the odd shower as we head through the morning. And then eventually we'll see more and more of this cloud and rain shift its way northeastward. Still come quite persistent outbreaks of rain across hilly areas of Devon and Cornwall, parts of Wales, but elsewhere, central areas, parts of the southeast, particularly East Anglia, should see a largely dry day, even some sunny spells as we head through into the afternoon. And it's fairly mild still across the southeast, highs of around 18 degrees, but temperatures struggling a little more under the cloud and rain. So a rainfall warning still issued for the first part of Saturday across Devon and Cornwall. We'll see some quite heavy outbreaks of rain through the morning, but any rain soon through the day largely fizzling away. And it should be relatively dry by the time we reach the afternoon. There could be a fair amount of clouds still. Sunday looks the best day in terms of dry weather and sunnier outbreaks, and fairly good temperatures too, so feeling pleasant where you do catch the sunshine.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news,
please bring us up to date.
Or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Get involved. Go to gbnews.com/your say. We've been talking about, for some reason, chlorinated chicken, chlorine being washed on your salad. But John Britton says my bag of salad says washed in spring water, so it makes it seasoned.
There were loads of good comments.
I'll get seasoned.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Spring. They can't all work. Right, back to the final few front pages. Cressor, Express.
Revolutionary weight loss pill on the way. That's exciting, isn't it? So this is another Ozempic type story, but it's not Ozempic. There's no injections. This is another drug. This is orforglipron, which apparently can provide a needle-free alternative. And it's going to be cheaper. Things get cheaper, don't they? They develop things. So potentially, this also was for type 2 diabetes, but it's now going to be used by celebrities to look incredibly thin.
Yeah. I mean, that is the worry, isn't it? That at least at the moment you have to stab yourself with stuff, which feels like you get the choice of would I rather do that or just not eat, and maybe
the cost is quite prohibitive as well for some people.
Yeah, we don't know about the cost of this. I know it's getting cheaper, but how cheap?
We don't know how cheap.
I don't quite get the aversion to needles. I'm only against them when the government's tying it to my ability to work and leave the country and do anything and have food. But normally I just sort of look the other way, so I'm not. Then they always say, "You all right?" Yeah, I'm just choosing not to look directly at the needle going to my eye. I think that's normal. Yeah. But I think that's a good way of doing it. But is it really just all about the needles?
Well, I don't know. I mean, some people really freak out about them. So I mention this all the time because I'm annoying, but I give blood, because I'm better than other people. And I was there last week, and there was someone who had a fear of needles. Don't! I'll just give another pint because you are a problem. They were absolutely losing it. And afterwards, but everyone was sitting them down going, "Oh, you did really well." Why? Just get blood from people who don't have whatever your problem is. Am I too hardcore?
No, it's good you managed to work in the giving blood, though.
Yeah.
That is good.
Of course, because I'm better than other people. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Very good.
Thank you very much. It's positive. It's one of the few positive things about me. Then on to the Star, Nick. What delights have they got for us?
Well, they've got this very sad story about Freddie Flintoff. Well, I guess he's back, so that's good, but he had that horrible car crash. But they've also got Bin Strike latest, Not Now Seagulls, and they've managed to work in the phrase psycho seagulls. As you know, the Star have about 4 phrases, boffins, psycho seagulls, and there's about 2 others, and they've managed to work them in on a sort of rotation. It's the easiest job in the world. It's even easier than what Lewis does on this show. It's so easy. So psycho seagulls can't resist muscling in on raider rats. So there's seagulls and rats now to add to the chaos and depravity in Birmingham.
But that's what you want, is it? Keep themselves busy. Seagulls versus cats. Rats as big as cats, or the other way around, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and seagulls as big as eagles.
Is that what they are?
No, I just came up with that.
It rhymes. It sounds pretty good, yeah.
Do you know, I like the sound of seagulls. It makes me feel like I'm near the beach.
We're actually near a massive pile of rubbish in Birmingham.
Which is, you know, you got to take your holidays where you can get them on the money we get.
Exactly right,
Fair enough. Right, into Cressida of the Times. The mussels from Brussels might actually be the twerp from Antwerp.
Jean-Claude Van Damme becomes the latest fallen star to woo Putin. So he's doing a sort of Dennis Rodman in North Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. The Times is very down on him. They're sort of implying he hasn't had a decent career since the 1990s. Poor bloke. So now he's turning to Putin for warmth.
Name one of his big films since the 90s?
I don't think...
So they might have a point.
I don't think he's...
When was Time Cop?
There's it. Well, yeah.
He actually was in a film with Rodman, wasn't he? Called Double Team, is that right?
Well, maybe that's where they got the idea, to woo dangerous world leaders.
Or was that Sylvester Stallone? People can Google this.
I think you may have proved their point.
Double Team seems like a phrase you shouldn't Google.
True. Not again.
Yeah.
Jean-Claude Van Damme and Putin. Talk about a double team. Those two together... A tag team, really, to bring the WWE reference back in. Those two in a tag team. Because it makes sense, because Putin's all about masculinity, he's always riding bears, and Jean-Claude's pretty masculine. It's a good combo.
Yeah, and Steven Seagal gets involved as well. I mean, if it was a fist fight, they'd win. It's just not a fist fight.
Right.
So bless them. Right, sorry.
What is that?
Nick the Guardian and a story of Brits pulling away from Europe that went well.
Yeah, this is British rebellion against Roman legions caused by drought, research finds. So this is the pivotal barbarian conspiracy of AD 367. Saw Picts, oh no, thankfully he's not here, Picts, Scotti and Saxons inflicting crushing blows, Steve, on Roman defences. And what this is desperately looking for a win in Britain now. So we've had to go all the way back to AD 367. And apparently these Roman commanders were just wiped out. That's something like that.
But it's not looking for a win. It's telling you that climate change is going to finish you off.
Oh, I didn't read it properly.
Oh, well, it's about... they think that there was some very hot weather during this time and that the crops failed and there was starvation and it led to social unrest.
Yeah.
Therefore, listen to Greta.
I just took away our big win and didn't miss the subtext.
Yeah, you've got to take the wins where they are. You don't,
that's what I took away from this.
No, it's the Guardian, so you're almost certainly right.
Fair enough. And it has been dry recently, so I guess we are going to go to war with Rome again. That's something to look forward to. The show's nearly over, so let's take another quick look at Friday's front pages. We have The Telegraph. UK's biggest bank vows solidarity with trans workers. The Mirror says, my husband's final journey. Guardian has ministers scramble to stop Labour rebellion on disability benefit cut. The Daily Mail, Labour turmoil on trans ruling. The Sun goes with the pun, no fly thrown. Times says third space could be needed for trans people. And, well, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you very much for my guests, Cressida and Nick Sterling. Nick and I will be back tomorrow at 11 p.m. with Leo. Kirst will be sitting in this chair. We'll be sitting over there. And if you are watching at 5 a.m, enjoy the repeats and then get ready for breakfast on the way for you next. Till the next one, have a good one.